When an energetic, visionary, enthusiastic sister in Christ calls from Knoxville with an idea to reach her city for Jesus, you listen.
When you have a child that has a disability, it changes your family dramatically and the dynamics of it. A lot of times, if you don't have some pretty good support, that's where you're at. You have your child 24 hours a day and you can't really go anywhere without them because you have nobody to watch them or take care of them.
Well, I can't imagine how you get ready for church on Sunday morning and then not knowing how you're going to be received. But just think, if you do know how you're going to be received, you have something special to go to or people there that are going to help you. It has to be such a relief and such a joy.
So Joni and Friends has realized there's a huge need there to come around the family, parents, siblings, the entire family, and love on them and bring them in, support them.
Not only do people come to Christ, but some people have a community they've never had before.
In the late 1980s, Bo Schaefer called me and said, we want to get a group together. He wanted to have a big Christian event. So we got together, a lot of us got together at Second Presbyterian Church and set up something called Spiritual Heritage Knoxville. Everybody's passion was to get out the gospel message. I happened to read in the FCA magazine, saw a picture of the stadium in Lexington that was full with kids that were hearing a fellow named Harold Morris.
For years, Harold Morris has been filling arenas with young people in cities all over the world.
I was given 2 life sentences.
They had this big event for youth, and I said, well, we can do that. So got hold of Harold Morris, and he agreed to come.
And he spoke to about somewhere between 20 and 25,000 high schoolers, all they busted in.
That night, 5,000 kids signed cards that they wanted a relationship with Christ, would stay off drugs or live a clean life.
This is really powerful. I think it will change a lot of people's lives. I'm glad he came to Knoxville.
I can still see it. And we were in our kitchen, phone rang, this News Sentinel wanted to talk to me, I guess, and said there had been a bus wreck and that people were injured, very much injured.
The brakes malfunctioned off of Straw Plains Pike exit, and we went through 3 lanes of highway. We went down in a ravine and flipped 3 times. Everybody said, hold on. And when they found me, I had 7 people on top of me. I remember waking up in the hospital and they told me that I wouldn't walk again.
You know, you're going through your mind is, oh no, I can't believe that happened. And what can we do?
Of course, we're not blaming ourselves for it, but if that happened, let's make it better.
Over the next few days, we started a fund in the News Sentinel and raised money for Kelly to help her in some way like that. And
we got together and thought we ought to get a expo for the disabled.
So in Christendom, who would you call that has something to do with disability? Well, Joni Eareckson Tada.
Joni said she would come, and buddy, we were tickled to death.
I knew nothing about disability, so I went to Lois Symington at ETAC to say, is this a stupid idea? Could we do this? Should we do this? And she had 2 women there that were severely disabled to hear my story. And there happened to be an intern, a girl working on her doctorate, that was there also. Well, that happened to be Laura Payne.
I have cerebral palsy, so I was born with it, so I've had it from before I ever came out into the world. Ann and I just clicked real quick.
They really liked the idea. And when it was over, I asked Lois, I said, do you think Laura would want to run our office for us? So we had an office over next to Furrow Auction Company and Schaefer Insurance. That was where our Meet the Challenge house was. And Laura took time off from her doctorate and ran our office. From that came 4 events that we had Joni come in 1994. We did the Dogwood Prayer Breakfast, which it was 1,500 people. It was the most demand for tickets of any we've ever done. I mean, it was packed. Then we had a 2-day church conference, which had 300 or 400 churches come. Then something unique we did was had a disability expo. That was right when technology was coming in for people with disabilities. And vendors from all over the country came. Lois Symington with ETAC had some of the latest and greatest things there. We had about 9,000 people come through the expo, and we had about 9,000 people on Saturday night at the main event. And we're talking people with severe disabilities, but they could hear the message that they had some hope from Jesus Christ. About a month after we had done the event, the Meet the Challenge, Joni called me up and said, Ann, would you like to be on my board? And I said, well, yes, I would be honored. I would love to. I went on her board in 1994. So we didn't start Joni and Friends Knoxville in 2001. And what transpired during all that is I would keep going to board meetings and hearing about area ministries and hearing the conflicts or the negatives or how hard it was to have an area ministry. And I kept saying, we're not going to have an area ministry in Knoxville, Tennessee. In the meantime, Laura had finished her doctorate, was working, but she really wanted to work for Joni and Friends if she could.
I told Ann that I felt like I would probably be coming back to Knoxville. I wasn't sure what the circumstances were going to be or what was going to happen. And boy, we had no idea.
So in the spring of 2001, we were at this board meeting and I had her resume with me to try to give to someone to see if we couldn't get her on in Charlotte. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to Doug Mazza, our new CEO, with his vision, his logic, and his operations. And I had this paper, Laura's resume, with me there. And I was sitting there and I looked around the room and I thought, and I started crying. And I said, God, I know what you want done. So that's when I told Joni at lunch, we'll open an area ministry in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Laura Payne will be the area director. I knew it would be, I knew I would be involved, and I knew it would take a lot of work, but when you know it's from God, you better do it. She announced it to the board after lunch that we were going to have an area ministry in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Laura Payne was going to be the director. Well, I hadn't even asked Laura. I hadn't even talked to Laura about that. So flying home the next day, and Laura always remembers it was Mother's Day of 2001. Flying home, I called her from the airport and I said, Laura, would you like to be our area director?
I knew how I had been helped. I knew how I had been encouraged by Joni and Friends, but to actually have the opportunity to do that and to be able to share the message of Jesus so strongly and so clearly, it's just an incredible opportunity.
And that's how we started. I think we opened our doors in October of 2001.
Within a year, we were doing family retreats. I went to Romania that first summer. We felt like God was leading us to Guatemala because of our friend Woody Woodson, helped us see that path. And then we were doing special deliveries and doing church ministry and everything within a year. And very, very thankful for that. It was a dream of my life to be able to serve with Ann. And Ann's been a mentor to me in an incredible way. Joni's one thing, and a lot of other people one thing, but there's nobody like Ann Furrow in my life. So it all fits together, really. Help people meet that challenge in their lives for all eternity.
I fell in love with this amazing group, and I grew quickly to call them friends. I knew they would provide a solid foundation to a Joni and Friends presence in Eastern Tennessee. and we could not have asked for a finer area director than Laura Payne. I love the breadth and the scope of its incredible outreach, whether it's church training or the delivery of wheelchairs and Bibles to Central America, or its celebrated family retreat held every summer at Fort Bluff Camp. Special needs families are coming to Christ. People with disabilities are being reached for the gospel. And I am so happy that now, decades later, Greg Greer is carrying the historical banner of Joni and Friends Knoxville into a new season of even greater outreach. So thank you, Ann Furrow, for being there in the beginning. And even now, nearly a quarter of a century later.
Joni and Friends is a really well-run international organization now, and one of the most respected ministries in the country.
There's an awareness of disability ministries in churches in this town. And a lot of times they don't know that Joni and Friends are the people that have come in and helped that.
Joni and Friends is different from other organizations that are coming around to help the disabled in that it is Christ-focused.
Being family retreat or Wheels for the World, I've seen people come to Christ instantly, like never before.
Family retreats have been an extremely important part of our life since we first started going, which was about 12 years ago or 13 years ago. You know, it's a time my family can go and be together, but still there's lots of things for people to do. And
you have people there, short-term missionaries, that are there helping you, helping the family, and taking care of the person with the disability.
For many of the people who come, it's the first time they've ever felt freedom to allow someone else to care for and be with their children.
I could just feel for them that relaxation of knowing that everybody understands that you're not just by yourself, but that though you just have so much support and you camaraderie and love. And
you know, as we drove out, tried to make me promise I would bring them back the next year to family retreat, and that sequence has occurred every year. My children, when they outgrow their wheelchairs, or you know, they're wanting to call Joni and Friends and make sure some other child gets their wheelchair.
The privilege of going to Guatemala one year with Wheels for the World, and that was another place that I just was blown away by the need and by the love that was given out, and we were helped so much by that child having a wheelchair that they fitted to them.
If a church gets involved in disability ministry, their church grows. We're commissioned to go out into the byways and bring in, Luke 14 is bring those less able into my church. And when churches do that, they become even more vibrant church and grow.
Anytime I think you love somebody, you're benefited and you receive as much as you give.
People we've seen come as a family to volunteer are there almost for life. I mean, it's just a wonderful experience for them. And they see things and understand things they never did before.
That person is a gift from God. And when you are around them, you're going to grow from it. You're going to experience something special.
Just step out and step into your discomfort zone to start with.
I think one of the current needs of Joni and Friends Knoxville is for more people, more churches to know what we do and why we are needed and why we are special.
The more they can impact the churches, I think the more that there will be a lasting and a growth and a multiplication of the kinds of benefits they bring to disabled community.
As people in our churches began to realize the need, see the opportunity, and are given tools to know what to do, hopefully we will get to where we are not the ones turning away, but we're going right straight for the person.
Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in Tennessee with disabilities that need the hope of Jesus Christ. And I just wish we would reach every one of them.